so followed. There's an item that needs to be added to the agenda. It's the town disability insurance discussion. So I need a movement.
I so move. A second.
There's been a motion and a second to add disability insurance for town employees to the agenda. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Alright. So we've got our minutes somewhere.
Yep.
And good thing you showed up, Dean. Were you here last meeting?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, because I was not, and we wouldn't have a quorum otherwise.
No one either.
You weren't here?
Oh, you weren't?
So,
Wait, who was? Oh, it was just the three of us. Oh, so I guess we can't do the minutes.
So we don't have a quorum to approve the minutes, so we might as well move right on to the next on the agenda is Susie Hall, Opera House painting and the elevator.
Getting used to seeing me, huh? You might have just put me in as a second. So, Billy Joe has a proposal for the elevator in your package from. Which one is it from?
It's
put me
basic,
up.
and actually, I didn't get to.
We can come back to the minutes afterwards.
Last meeting.
I'm
You're the only one with it in front of you?
Oh,
I think I put it where you wanted it.
what's the matter? Have a seat.
So it's Bay State and Schindler had. I forwarded you something from Schindler too at one point, right?
Right up on the table a little bit.
A couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe a month
Oh,
ago.
now I'm starting to understand
So you
your
have. I
communication.
think we had it in the last meeting, but I didn't bring my package, unfortunately. So, Bay State has given a price for. Here's another one. So here's another one running around. Yep.
Okay.
Bay State and Schindler have both given a proposal for the elevators. I don't frankly have any recommendation for you other than if you want to go on price. My only hope was that maybe if we went with the existing people that we have called in, which is Schindler, that maybe we could ask them to say, listen, can you take into consideration writing a contract and, maybe adjust your last bill or something. I mean, that was my only thought of maybe an advantage of going with who we are. If I recall, I think Bay State's a little higher, so you might know. They are the ones that originally put in the elevator. They are familiar with the elevator. So you've got two packages, and Billy Joe's looking up what the Schindler thing was. But
So Bay State's $250 a month.
$250 a month, okay. And what are their services? Like, what is their?
I haven't compared both of them, but it did kind of make me a little nervous when I was listening to when I was reading through, and I'm not the technical. I mean, I think somebody really needs to look at this. It looked like some of the things that we've called them in for wouldn't have been covered under this. So I wasn't overly excited about it. They are a little higher, so I guess I kind of, in theory, am moving towards Schindler as a recommendation to you all, but I think someone should look at it and maybe come back next meeting with a firm recommendation after looking at both documents, unless you are speed readers here. I don't.
So the Schindler,
I don't have a Susie. I had the one where you sent out the request for bids, but I don't have the Schindler bid. I went through all the ones you sent.
Okay, I can have that to Billy Joe Wednesday, and she could get it out to you so that you guys could look up that and make action at the next meeting. We probably should do it before the plastic thing fails again.
Okay.
That's one thing. AC is yet again an issue. Pierre and I were over there, and it has been off for a number of days. After I saw you, Pierre, I met Andy out in the yard, and he says it's frozen up, and we went out back, and the piping from the AC into the building had a good thick coating of ice on it where the foam insulation had died and cracked open or whatever. So there was the foam insulation, it came around a corner and it cracked open, and then you could see that it was, so it could have still been working, or that could have been the issue, and the freezing could have gone right through to the whole pipe and blocked it off. I don't know. I don't know that repairing the insulation around that pipe is gonna partially resolve the issue or not. I'm sure it's not gonna resolve all the issue, but, you know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Okay. So we obviously need to get the covering on that pipe, from the intake pipe from the AC into the building, recovered, and it's covered with a foam, but it needs to be redone. And probably kept an eye on over the years. That's something I'm sure that denigrates with the environmental stresses that it gets, heat and sun and all that stuff. But it did not work for the pageant. We got,
It'd be good on a night
Look
like
at me a little
tonight.
sooner. We did get 2 air movers. The Opera House rented them for the evening. Thankfully, we do not charge Lions Club anywhere near our going rate. We give them a huge break. But it is unfortunate to have it that full of people and not have it work. I think even under the most best circumstances with it working at the top efficiency that it possibly can, it would still be challenging with that many people in there. It's hotter and blazes, the lights out a lot of heat, but it wasn't even coming close to that. I did hear that the air movement really helped, kept the doors open, let the air move, and it did help a lot, but talked with
If
Kim
you sit right in front of the doors.
Kim
it's
Bates
all
and said,
Anywhere else.
you know,
I want nothing.
it is
Need tunnel
it is what it
ventilation.
is. So Jim Cameron and I walked around it the other day looking for some projects for school kids to do. And while we were doing that, he was talking, and he's got somebody coming over, I believe, with Vermont Efficiency coming over to the Quincy. He's going to have him come over to the Opera House as well, and we'll have him look at it. He goes, they'll do recommendations on AC and whatnot, and then there might be some grant or something that after you know the information, know what you want, you might be able to do something with it. I say AC, but it would be AC/heat. Look at the whole thing, and I think we as an Opera House board have talked about getting Efficiency Vermont in there anyways. The lighting, Pierre and I were looking at it the other day. It's just really, or maybe it was Jim, I don't remember. It's just not great in that hall. The hall's really glum and in there old can lights, and we could definitely be doing some improvements there, which would help in the bills in the end as well. So that's the AC report. No
Okay.
sewage backup. That was good.
Did that get fixed?
Yes.
Yay. Okay, good.
The joy?
And the drainage too?
So maybe I reported that you weren't here last meeting.
I was with
You
in
were-
the back, the
So
drainage
they-
in the back.
Yeah, they fixed the sewage piece. I was here and then I went to the trustees and thanked them for the help, and also got verbal agreement from a couple of the board members, Guyborough and Walter Scott, that Jonathan should have the authority, and now does if he didn't before, to make a call on yes, we can help you or not. I said, it's getting done. Thank you for all your help. We've had some time, but if this had happened 3 days before the pageant and we needed to do you guys need to do a formal letter, blah, 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 we'd have been screwed. And you both own the building. You should be able to jump in and get it done. And they said, absolutely, you should. So, yes, he should have the authority. So that was all
Okay, good.
taped and everything. So,
Good.
I did plant a seed saying I will be back to talk about drainage, and one of the things they did find out after that is that they found a really good drainage pipe on, if you're facing the building, the side next to Ryan's, where they were doing the sewer work, they found a good drainage pipe that had rock and packed in fiber on that side.
Oh.
So the question now is, does it go into the back? Is it connected in the back? Is it something else? Is it just not adequate? We don't know, but there is some good
Right.
drainage, so that was helpful.
Okay.
And I don't know do they have equipment that can follow a drainage line, Terry, like a little metal detector or something that can go along and
Scope.
follow?
Not that I know
The,
of.
the village? No.
No.
Right.
I mean, you could probably run that,
We'd have to hire a drum
Joey's got the same thing where we can run it right up the tile. You got a lawn there with water there.
Right, but I mean,
That can go for a distance and you can see if there's any stoppage.
yeah.
And we can see how
Oh,
But
far.
yeah.
if you want to hire one of these other people, they got a camera.
Put a
they can
camera, yeah.
run right up there and see
Yeah.
what's going on.
Okay, well, that's kind of been put on the back burner for now, because we always have something else. Painting. You have a bid with you from Jesse?
Yeah, all I gotta do is go to the house and go grab it. Same bid that was proposed last month.
Okay, do you remember what that was?
I'll grab it.
Very-
I talked to Dana Kennison
Yep.
Sunday, and he was just kind of like, they want to move in, they want to do 2 sides, they don't want to have to come back year after year to do 4 sides. I said, what if it's a budget thing, and he goes, I get it, talk to Billy Joe or somebody, and he said, I get it, it's the money. I said, would you entertain, and I haven't really, I said, I'm hoping you'll send something in, and he didn't. But if we're not comfortable with Jesse, I would suggest offering them the option of saying, listen, we come in and do the 2 sides, we'll pay out X amount this year, and then January 1st, you're in your new fiscal year, you can give them the other payment, and in a sense, it's meeting our needs, 1 payment per year versus a chunk,
Right.
you know, if
Like
they're
we're gonna
willing
do
to
a
wait.
contract kind of deal. Yeah.
Yeah, if they're willing to wait that, and then we'd have at least 2 sides done, 2 payments, 2 years, and then move forward somehow.
Yeah, if they're willing to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dana didn't put in a bid? He said he was gonna.
He didn't, he forgot, and then he saw
forgot.
my pleading, dear God, please send us something.
Yeah.
And he saw it in his car on Dairy Day, and then I ran into him, and he was gonna talk to somebody, but it's kind of typical fashion.
Yeah, I talked to a couple different painters and it's nothing, it's too big for them.
Too
They
big for
don't, they don't have a lift, or they don't wanna get a lift, and they just wanna stay smaller, 1-story buildings,
Yeah, yeah.
Susie, can I back up to the AC again?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any, if that AC unit was working at 100%, it still wouldn't cool that
I
building.
don't feel it's adequate, and I think that's been the common consensus for a number of years here. Now, maybe it's always been freezing up, and we didn't really understand that until last year. It became very apparent that's what was happening. Maybe there's a way to address that, and it would be better. But the trouble with that, the way that system was built, is the AC and the heat comes in from the ceiling.
Mhm.
And the ceilings are so high.
And the ceilings are so high, and you're trying to push down. I mean, the intakes in front of the stage, hot air rises, so you're pushing in cold air. You're not really displacing the warm air to go in the intake and come out cool.
Well, I'm just wondering about some good-sized fans, other than the AC. I mean, where we could move, if we could just move the air a little bit, last Thursday night. I mean, I sat back down from the door about 12 rows or so, on the outside. Sure, these people sat beside that door. Of course, it was hunky-dory, But where I was, there was absolutely
And I
zero.
know when you leave that room and you go down the stairs, you're like, oh,
Oh yeah.
it drops like
You-
10, 15 degrees
You get some air coming up from the stairway.
I know.
And get some
I know, it's
circulation.
awful.
But I didn't know if we had a few big fans, I don't think could stand it.
Well, I find
don't-
it amazing that there's
Sure.
no fans in that ceiling either. That you have that huge cavernous ceiling and there's no fans.
Yeah, I know there's no.
And maybe with
But you couldn't. Would that affect the
acoustics,
acoustics or the
Historic.
historical part of the.
so
building?
unless you go for a historical grant, the historical lines that they attach to their grants don't last forever. So they last about, I don't know, someone told me 5 years. I've looked into it at one point. I don't know how, can't remember, but it's not like you go and do something with a historical grant and you're bound forever. You're not. So, would it ruin it from being on the historical listing? I don't believe so, but I could look into it.
Yeah.
Because they expect these buildings to be,
Yeah, because
used.
those
This is
ceiling
just,
fans would be nice to push that.
Or just John's?
Susie,
that's just the request for.
that would be nice if
Oh,
those
Jeez,
ceiling
Crow.
fans are up there to push that
Oh, Jeez,
cold
Crow.
air down or whatever,
yeah.
I don't know. But-
Getting it too.
Get back to the old farmer mode though, if you put some exhaust fans and suck that heat from the basement right upstairs.
Cool air from the basement upstairs. Because it's cool downstairs.
Yeah, you could
Yeah, right.
suck it,
Did you guys
Right.
review it last meeting?
suck it up.
No.
I remember seeing
They
it.
weren't
No,
due until the
because-
31st.
no.
Oh,
Because it was, but it was 16,500,
For a side?
2 sides.
For 2 sides.
and that was,
I remember that.
Just a,
16
Go away.
for
I'm
2
still
sides.
They spelled.
GOEWAY.
Yep. GOE.
Who is that? Who is he?
They're from Richford.
Yep. they're the ones
14.5.
16.
16.5 for 2 sides.
I would think with a project this big, you'd want to call references.
Well, yeah.
The guys,
I've heard some,
Yeah.
everyone has,
yeah.
Maybe let's poke around too.
but they're the ones who.
Right. Okay.
The part with the, on the painting issue, the part with the, you know, getting, so there's some sills that are totally gone that need to be replaced, whatever. I think if you can move ahead with the painting bid and get something approved, then when we have someone doing that physical work, part of their bid will be when they've replaced the sill, they have to paint it. So rather than hold up the process on the painting, if you go over and look at it, it's really, really peeling. It's a lot worse than I thought. I walked around the other day, I'm like, wow, it really is. So I wouldn't hold it up on the repair work that needs to be done. I mean, obviously they need to make sure that the clapboards are down and all that type of thing you generally do with painting, but structural work around windows where sills have fallen off or whatever, someone who knows woodworking is gonna have to do that, and they can just paint it. I think that's an easy part to address on their part. They put the proper trim color on. We're not asking them to paint the building. But rather than hold up on the painting bids, I'd like to see something happen there.
Right. Okay.
And so I don't have any recommendations there. I would consider, so when you were gone, Pierre, I would suggest the same thing to Jesse. I mentioned it to Dana and it sounded like they might be okay with that, and I don't know if Jesse would be okay with that since nobody came in and bid on the one side per year and one payment per year. Is that if they would agree to do the 2 sides, get one payment when they're done and one payment January 1st or, you know, that first week in January, that's in your new physical year. That meets the goal here to have only one payment a year so you're not killing the budget, and then we'll decide next year where to go with the remaining 2 sides, but then you've got 2 sides done, 2 payments.
It's a
2
new
budgets.
physical year, but don't we have to do town meeting to set the budget for the next year?
Well, it has to be
Approved.
approved.
But you have to pay bills from January to March until you get your budget approved.
Right.
And you've got,
And cross your fingers.
you've got budgets.
What's the fiscal year for the town?
January to December.
It is January.
Okay.
I mean, when you're not putting out the painting
Right.
as a line item to be approved, you're putting it under the general line item that you do every year. Which brings me to the last piece. So the Welcome Center. Forgot to bring that up last time. Left, called Billy Joe Monday, said, damn, I remember what I forgot. And she said, yep. So I was going to get hold of you because I was thinking that there wasn't any concerns, and she said there were some. So that did surprise me for a minute. I understand them. One of the concerns was insurance, and we have that answer, and we have that taken care of if you so move. Enosburgh Business Association will add it under their liability policy. And that was a suggestion from our insurance agent, Shauna Lovett at Halls Insurance, so we know that that can be done.
EBI,
EBA.
EBA.
We haven't gotten one for EBA. It's EI, yeah. we got to get the 2 together some
Singing
point.
initiative.
And then the other, just to explain it a little bit, because it I don't know if you've been to an EI meeting. You've been to the EI meetings when we've talked about it. So literally, the proposal is to do it for the summer as a trial run to see if we actually get people accessing a welcome center in Enosburgh. The welcome center would be the ability to use the bathrooms, a charging station, electric outlet so they can charge their phone. I thought I would ask the courier if they would donate their cool charging station they had out on Dairy Days. You just plug it in and they had all the different auxiliary cords. It was pretty nice. And literally, we were talking about setting up a table, card table, and on it having the rail trail brochures, the Northern Forest canoe brochures, historical society hours. You know, where's the local medical offices, dental offices? Where can you eat? Where can you sleep? What are the hours for the church services? What are some things going on? State park contact. You know, just like an information center. And it would be run by volunteers, and frankly, we're talking volunteers like Sandy Ferlin, Dave and Sally Trihorn, Cheryl and Ward Hennevold, we've got a list of people who would want to volunteer. The Opera House would be very concerned about the access, so we haven't got a final plan together, but we're thinking of if they're rather than give them access to the lockbox so that we over there wouldn't have to change lockbox code every week, is have a key that they check out, big key like you got from the Texaco station, big piece of wood. And thinking most of those hours except for Sunday night, because we were thinking 9 to 3 on Sunday. It was going to be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday hours. They could check it out at Ace, and when they're done, bring it back. And we would be vetting who the volunteers are. It wasn't going to be just anybody we didn't know. We'd know who was responsible. The only thing was Sunday night, trying to figure out where would that go Sunday night, because they close at 2 or 1.
So the Welcome Center would just be Friday, Saturday, and Sundays?
Yep. And it would be just down in the lobby. We were going to order a nice velvet thing to go at the top of the stairs so that if there wasn't something going on, they could climb up the stairs, peek in and say, oh my, what a nice building. My niece is getting married. Maybe we'd want to rent it. Just
Right.
to increase the knowledge of the building, increase the usage of the building, and I think sometimes you hear from people who don't ever go there, oh, that building's not being used. I think this would be helpful for the taxpayers to see it being used some more. I think it would be helpful for the Opera House. Opera House was kind of, I was kind of, because Denny and I are on the EI hearing about this, and we're like, whoa. And then the more I've been thinking about it, I think it might help promote our events, get people to see what's going on.
What happens if there's so I'm thinking about theater camps are going on, and then what happens if there's shows, and then there's people coming
Welcome hours would be long done before the show. Shows are in the evening.
Oh.
We would work with that,
Right.
If something was going on, it would have to be closed.
Right.
But, we've got the school kids ready and they might already be doing it, collecting information at businesses, creating those brochures, creating the handouts, designing a sign to be hung underneath the sign saying Welcome Center and the hours, and then we would have maybe a real estate type sign that would go down at the end of the street on the state rail bed where nobody has a problem with it.
Right.
And that would come up and down as needed. So I think of everything. So just really thinking it's a win-win. The Opera House would be very concerned. We have the equipment in there that could be damaged. We, the soundboard, the lights, so we would be very vigilant about that. And like I said, the EI would organize those shifts of volunteers and make sure there's somebody that we feel comfortable with. And generally they're your respected citizens that you would all trust as well.
One or two people.
Who, volunteering?
Mhm.
I think at some points it could be a couple. If it's me, it might be me. Chris might be there. I don't know. They're pretty much going to sit there playing on their computer and hope somebody comes in to use the bathroom and take a brochure. I mean, as it stands now, sometimes there's only one person in there, like M's in there. I mean, we have one person in there at this point, and then if somebody's doing something, you may have somebody else in there, but I was in there alone all the time. I didn't lock the doors when I was there. And there are no ghosts,
No,
because I was
We
there.
were gonna say what-
there
what's
probably
gonna
is,
happen in
but
there.
Huh?
What's gonna happen?
that's just it.
5 years I
That's
saw
one
it
of the
go.
things is that the double swinging doors in the back, they're gonna have to be locked.
They're not, the volunteer is going to sit in the atrium. They're going to sit in the front hall.
And I understand that, but in a perfect world, everything would work out great.
Presume
same
good
time-
intent, Pierre. Presume good
But
intent.
at the same time, you're going up to stages, yeah, it'd be nice to go up here and go look, but that's off limits. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
If,
I'm not really not concerned about that. I mean, if I'm sitting there at a card table and I see someone headed down the hall, we're going to have something that says no access, and are they going to too bad, I'm bursting through the door? I mean, I just don't really see that happening. And
It isn't like you've got 100 people there at any given time.
I don't, hopefully we will have people coming in. We don't know. That's why we want to do a trial run to see if it's, we've been following this Welcome Center goal. Is it even something that people would access? And that's kind of why we want to do this in the summer. people are out on bikes and whatnot. I'm seeing the people that come through with the town, and you know, I guess we address it as it happens versus not doing it because we presume the worst. Let's, you know, as in anything, sometimes you learn as you go, and I'm just, you know, if there was a little Mrs. Epley there, you're worried about people barging in, or
I'm just pointing it out.
Okay.
It's one of those things that,
Yeah.
okay, so you leave because you've got an emergency, nobody's there to cover it up. Nobody's
oh, if I
able-
leave, I have to lock it.
Then you're gonna have to lock it, yes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
at the same time, you know, someone has to go to the bathroom, you know, you're gonna need, someone's gotta go eat, so it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, what are we looking at for times, and when are we starting at 8,
Nope.
9?
I can't. I think it was 10 to 5 Friday,
And then maintenance of the bathrooms.
9 to 3 Sunday. Well, that would be something that the Opera House would take on with, you know, our crew who cleans the Opera House, and make an agreement with that. You know, it's not anything that would entail anything more for you people. We've covered the insurance, and I think we do have to find more ways to make sure that it is constantly being used. I'd love to see it back to the state where you're holding your meeting there and voting is at the Upper House. Got an elevator and everything, if it's working. So we now have sound systems so people can hear each other. That was an issue back in the day, I know, but so I'm kind of needing some sort of answer on that, because we've got kids ready to create things and whatnot. We don't have any other options at this point for where to have a welcome center. So if it's going to not happen, I need to know. If it's going to happen, then I need to know that as well.
Well, if we wanna act on it, or,
Yeah, as long as the EBA carries the insurance, I don't see. And our septic woes are over.
I did ask, and I can't remember. I was talking to Joey. Can you go the extra mile so that they think the earth lifted up the clean out valve outside there. You talked about putting insulation, and when we had that conversation, Pierre was part of it, and like, please go the extra mile so this doesn't happen again, and hopefully it won't.
Okay.
I mean, it very easily could have been like that for years, and could have been the reason we had it before.
Mm-hmm.
And just
so we're looking at basically making a motion for a 1-year trial.
Right. Or
Well,
one
summer.
summer.
one summer.
Yeah,
summer,
one summer.
And then if it's gonna work, then
Yeah.
we may see some issues and stuff where we
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
But,
change
yeah.
some language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll move to allow the Opera House to be used as a welcome center for the summer
Second it.
of 2018.
So the motion's been made and seconded to utilize the Opera House for a welcome center for this summer, 2018.
What's our time frame? From
I
when to
think
when?
it was gonna end the end of September, or like if it's right in the middle of foliage, maybe the middle of October. Get through the foliage season when you have tourists, and then be done. Yeah.
Okay.
Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Alright, there's your answer.
And then we had the telephone company in. Mike Loisel came and replaced all the wires, any possible anything from his end into the building. He really didn't think it was any of his the wires that would be tripping up this trouble call. And Billy Joe and I don't know, Pierre has been getting phone calls like crazy on phone trouble. Finally I asked, please don't do it for a while, because we're getting it worked on. And I called him and said everything should be all set. Don't call at night as long as you can on phone trouble. If that's the issue, I think they said we can't do that forever, but for a couple of weeks. I said awesome. So if it happens anymore, it's in the building, and we should be dealing with the alarm company to see why it's happening. It's not a phone line issue, but he's done a lot of work. I haven't gotten any call. Well, I shouldn't say that. I had to check my message machine, and maybe I did. You haven't got any calls in the last few days? So maybe.
That was through Verizon or
Fairpoint,
or
or
Consolidated.
Yeah. He came and told and explained it. He changed everything. He goes, I even moved it from this pin to that pin, so nothing is the same. And we'll see. He was fairly confident it wasn't his thing, but I'm hoping it was, and we're done with it.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Awesome.
All right.
Alright, thanks Susie.
Thank you. I leave the elevator, and I just, ask for
What we got?
next meeting if we can get a
We got one.
decision. You can
They
have
are
both
there.
of them. I got it on email.
I don't know.
A decision on, I'll get that thing to
The
Billy
Schindler-
Joe by
Schindler
Wednesday,
one?
Schindler, if you
Yeah.
could look it over and make a decision at your next meeting on the elevator.
Is that part of it?
And, if not tonight, the next meeting, make a decision on the paint.
Okay. Okay.
Are you on the paint, the outside?
Yeah, my suggestion is to offer one of them and ask and tell them because
We need to wait on the other one, don't we?
On which one? We've got,
you've got two bids
Two?
for two sides.
Okay.
You've got no bid on, well, you've already had Dana's bid on the two sides.
that was last year's.
You've
That's
had
fine.
Jesse said they're standing by the same bid. You've got Jesse's bid on two sides, you've got nobody bid.
Dana said he's staying there by his old bid?
Yeah,
Oh.
We didn't hear that.
I did, yesterday on the street from
It,
Dana.
sh-
Right, so that's
it
why.
should have been in writing.
So-
You got no bid under the current proposal,
Right.
which was go out to get 4 sides done 4 years. So under this last proposal, you have no bid. So
Correct.
you are looking at
At bids.
old bids to get anything
So, okay, so it might not happen tonight, but maybe if we can
Right.
get all those ducks in a row by next
Right.
time, we could
Right.
do that, yeah.
done. And I will
So
see
we
if
need
I
to
can-
find out from these two
Whether-
if they'll stand by their
Right.
last year's bid or whatever.
I think Jesse has indicated he
And the
will.
way we would have to pay them.
Right.
And I will,
Right.
I will try to make sure he sends you something in writing saying
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And ask, and reach out to Jesse to see if he would do that. That will really kind of narrow things
The
down.
two sides with the,
Two sides, we
Two sides with two paint.
pay at the end of the summer and then
So
January.
basically it would be two sides 2018, two sides 2020.
Right, cause when you think about it,
To get the
you're
whole
using
thing.
up that money on the
Yeah.
second year,
18, 19, and then it would,
Right.
yeah.
and then you get the other two.
And they might want to rebid in 20 because
Yeah,
It'll
Oh.
be time.
it'll be different prices or
Right.
whatever. That would have been the beauty to get up for a bid, but yeah, but whatever.
Okay,
And I will pursue efficiency, AC,
okay.
clue Pierre in and Billy Joe into everything so they can update you as we go.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, thank you.
thank you, Susie.
Happy camping.
I am, I'm headed. I gotta go back to Century 21 and finish that up and hopefully head to camp.
Yeah.
He here? Or is he-
He's not, I don't know. His secretary or whatever the lady is called to him, maybe I just need something out there because I forgot to stick something in. She called to make the appointment, she told me she would let him know, this was a week and a half ago.
No,
So,
who's this?
Cheers,
What's her name, Lynn Knight made this appointment with Mr. Cameron?
Oh,
So if he's not here, we should go back to the
Minutes?
minutes,
Yeah.
and I see in the minutes, we also need the previous
Oh,
minutes
yeah, I
before
better
that
get
too.
those.
So, we'll go back to the minutes of May 21st, and because Terry and I weren't here, and you weren't here at the time here, we didn't have a quorum to pass those minutes, but we do now. And we'll also have to get the May 7th minutes.
The May 21st look good. So I move to accept the May 21st minutes. Do you want them to? Wait, were you here?
Yes.
Yeah, you were. Sorry. I'm like, was I here? Was he there? Who's on first?
They go pretty decent.
Yeah.
Oh, second.
So Terry and I have to recuse on these minutes, but there's been a first and second to accept the May 21st meetings minutes.
should that be
And
glowing or growing?
any more discussion on them?
Glowing.
Glowing recommendation?
Glowing. You glowed about them.
Any more discussion?
No.
If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Alright, May 21st minute meetings are approved. And Billy Joe's getting our May 7th minutes out to us.
And these are the ones I can't participate on. Because I was not there.
there 2 pages?
Page one.
Well, that was the one I went through 9:30 at night.
That's why you skipped that one.
Exactly. Oh. Oh yeah, the sign. I saw the sign up.
On that, the only thing that I would, BJ, on the Eastburgh Fire District at the meeting of the Pearly Complex, the ROW, if we either put something like R.W or R.W.R.O.W, because,
Right of way.
yeah, so that it kind of signifies,
I can do that.
You're talking about the
Three.
fire district?
yeah, because it's just ROW, you know, the row of Doug Wilson's just, what's the row of Doug Wilson's? It's the right of way.
Okay, you know this has changed.
What has changed?
They're coming in off the other road now. Joey told me the other day that they're talking about coming in off the Water Neighborhood Road.
Water Neighborhood Road?
But I know, but for these minutes though,
Yeah,
Okay.
for these minutes we have to.
Oh,
approve
we kinda
that,
have
but
to-
yeah.
I mean, if he can give us an
So if
update on
there's,
it.
so then he's gonna have to come by again for another driveway permit then.
Yeah, he's gonna have to, yeah.
Huh. That's new.
Do we really want to stay 10 minutes?
Which one?
Then it's not really our problem.
Yeah, we do. Yep.
We don't want to just take it into consideration.
Nope, we want it to be known that that was what was said, so that he knows. Interesting, okay. Motion is just spelled wrong, not that that matters.
Where is that?
The second to the last paragraph, the one about Rick, it's the last sentence in that paragraph. Motion by Dean. Motion? Motion by Dean.
So on that one, I'll move.
Second.
With the corrections.
Yeah, I'll second it.
With clerical collection, spelling, or is there something else to?
With the right of way and
Oh, right away, that's, where is, okay, it's the first page. So the motion's been made and seconded, except the May 7th meetings with, 2 changes, just to add the periods and right away on ROW on the section with the Enosburgh Fire District, and motion drop the I, the last I in it. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right, good.
All those opposed say nay. Alright,
Is people camping in the backyard?
the minutes all caught up. So on the last meeting there, what was there? Was it just Larry that came, or was Riley here too?
On the May 7th?
May
Or the last,
21st.
it was just Marguerite.
Marguerite came to represent Larry.
Oh, that's right, the Henry Newberger issue was that.
Yep.
Okay.
So far, so quiet.
And I thought with the paving, I don't know if anybody gone through this bridge down here lately,
Which one?
down in Enosburgh,
What, the Center Bridge?
down by Dairy Center.
Yeah.
It looks like some of the pavement's coming up again.
Oh, you mean the Boston Post Bridge?
Yeah,
Oh my
When they
gosh.
repaved.
Yeah.
I just went through there today and it looked like
Jimmy sent a note to
you should check it out. I mean, that was just put in again.
Twice, just a little at the last fall.
It was done during some hot weather then, so.
Yeah.
Hi,
Who
Jim.
was, who was doing that? Is that Pike that did that, or is that?
Mike did that, yeah. Then they did it over.
Howdy.
Okay.
Yeah. You're actually
You're
right
up.
up on agenda.
Better up.
Wait, well, the grass growing under your feet here.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Good.
So we have James Cameron here to talk about the tax stabilization for his building.
I'd also like to just give you some updates about initiative stuff that's going on.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm quite sure that Betsy sent you folks a letter. Have you seen that?
No.
I swear to God, we sent a letter here about a week and a half ago. Okay, that's fine. Wowzer. I'll be back next month.
Did that pop the balloon or?
I kinda did, yeah, to be honest with you. It's always the things you don't expect, you know?
Yeah.
It's okay, I guess, we can still talk about it, and I'll absolutely get a letter. I saw it printed, I saw it in an envelope, so I don't know where it is.
Yeah, all we got is a couple of kind of Randolph. And
Yeah, I brought
Actually, she
those.
did it when she called and booked me here, so, okay, we did something wrong. I came and spoke with the select board last year about this, and you folks went ahead and had it on the agenda for the town meeting, and it got approved. And I came that time with a request, and so I'll make that same request, and then answer any questions you have, and then I'll also maybe before I do that, tell you where the building is right now, what's going on with it. So we just finished there were planned to be 2 apartments in the back of the building up above the kitchen on the north elevation. They're done. We have a certificate. I'm waiting for the certificate of occupancy from the state fire marshal. And here's our application to Angela and our fee for the 2 apartments to be done. Elevator shaft is structurally built, not finished, but all the structures in the foundation and all that's in. The rear part of the building has been prepped and repaired and painted and is done. And then we just changed some things from our end, not from your end, because it would be the first time you're hearing it, but we're going to begin demolition on all the interior of the 2nd and 3rd floor, which was planned to be done later, but we're going to do that now and get it all done. And then we've got a load of windows coming in next week, really nice Marvin Integrity windows that are going to go on the front side of the street. You'll see that we have lead tape out and construction tape out, and we're putting the boom in the front yard. In a week or 2 we'll have a crew there putting in windows, doing all the trim. The whole street facade will all get done.
Wow. They look nice.
Next couple months it'll be all done. You're welcome anytime to come visit. I tell everybody
I
that.
just want to ask you that question, can I?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you can call me or you can just go over. Totally fine.
Okay.
We rented an apartment, so you can't go in that one. So the top floor got rented to a border patrol agent, so that's done. He moved in this last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we have an apartment to rent. You're welcome to go take a look through that. You're welcome to see the building and go see what's going on. I'm in town 2 or 3 days a week, but Larry, who works for me, is there. Just introduce yourself. Be nice and polite, and you'll be fine. And walk through. Let's see. So that's the plan. You know, that's where we are with the building. And a lister came a month ago, 3 weeks ago, to walk through the apartments, and that was fine. And that gentleman did what he needed to do. He answered his questions. He walked through the whole building, saw what we had done, and walked into the apartments, saw the finish. We installed new three-phase power. The village put in a new pole. Well, new transformers. We went underground, so there aren't any more wires on the building from anywhere, including the phone lines and all
Wow.
that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
kind of sits there by itself
You went European.
in downtown Enosburgh.
Yeah.
So that's the status of the building, and the request is this: is that to be specific, is that, and I hope this is consistent with our letter, is that while we're under construction and before the building is finished, that our taxes that basically whatever we're paying for taxes now, and whatever the percentage of taxes go up into the future, that we would pay those taxes. Betsy's business would pay those taxes, but that we would have a 5-year stabilization on what that is, and that in 5 years you would come in from whatever, I assume that's from this tax year, just because of that, but that's a discussion. And so that at the end of the 5-year period, you'd come in, the lister would come in and say, okay, now this property that was listed at 260 or 280, somewhere in that range, and it's now worth 800 or 900,000. That's what the new tax rate is, and that it be paid in, start that year as paid in full. It's something that's done in other communities around the country. It's done in Vermont in a few places. Every community, Swanton just did one with an industrial building. Putting a lot of money into the building. There's not, there's one. I've talked to you about the cost of the whole project, but it wouldn't be okay to tell you what we got into it now. But we got a ton into it now. She does have a ton of money into it now, with no return, and so we're going to continue to plod through. We got we knew we were going to get federal tax credits, which we got, and we got a long time ago. Actually, it was last fall. We got state tax credits, and now we're able to monetize those. The People's Trust Company is now a partner with her in an LLC, so that they can monetize her tax credits. So that's where how we're moving ahead. I'm happy to explain that more in depth, but the gist of it is that because they joined in, we can get access to more funds to move ahead.
Gotcha.
That's the gist of it, all that part of it.
So where we're kind of at with the process is that we've been advised that we need to have a policy in place before we actually enter into contracts. So now that we have the authority from that town meeting, now we have to create a policy, which is what we're starting on tonight.
Okay.
So that is, I guess, what the next month or two is going to be us kind of creating what our criteria is to enter into contracts. Yeah.
Okay.
And so the tax assessment of April 1st, right, is typically in April 1st. So I don't know, I can't speak for the board, but it's my intention to get this definitely squared away before that time.
I think that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you
should.
I know.
If you don't, I'm bringing
That's
the
right.
state
If they're not
tax
doing
down.
their homework,
come
I'm
on
doing my
here.
homework exactly. So yeah.
Others have done this.
Exactly.
There's other people that there you can grab 4 or 5
Yep.
practices or policies and find one that works.
Yep.
That's reasonable and fair here.
Yep.
So I'm here for Betsy, and that's the deal. That's where I'm asking on her behalf for a tax stabilization arrangement.
Right.
Legal beagle, public kind of thing.
Right.
And switching gears, but not really, is that a lot of the other stuff I'll tell you in a second is all tied into that whole thing. There's a cute phrase that's not mine, but it's what's in the toolbox for economic development, which is the phrase they use in St. Albans. And I think that I know that one of the things needs to happen for Enosburgh Falls, the village, the town, all together, to me they're all the same, is for us to have as many things that we can use to help as many people as we can to help them grow their business, start a business, fix up their buildings, fix up downtown, start businesses anywhere that we can do that, that we want to do. And this is one of them. Just to be able to say to somebody, hey, I'm going to put $1.5 million into this. I'm not getting that out.
Right.
My kids might get it out, but I'm creating 8 jobs, and I'm putting housing in downtown, quality housing in downtown, and eventually you're going to get all of my taxes, you know, my taxes are gonna double or triple.
Right.
Um,
So yeah, I
that's-
would
that's the
say
bitch.
check in with us to see where we're at. You know, keep
Sure.
checking with us to see where we're at on that side. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great. I'd ask if you, I would make a request if you have a draft policy. I'd be happy to talk. I'd like to see it, and I'd be happy to sit in and talk. It's not my specialty, by the way. I don't have like years of experience with this, and if time allows, I'll do some research and see what I can come up with to offer those things. But the fundamentals are that you have to figure out, what I just said. I repeat myself.
Do you know of some communities that do have them, that might have good ones?
I
know we
brought
got a couple
some.
here.
yeah, sorry, go.
That's okay. I don't, but I also am going to an annual meeting of Vermont League of Cities and Towns a week from Thursday, and that's the rage. I mean, that's what that whole workshop is all about. Is what are other towns doing? What is Bethel doing? What is
I was going to say
Chester
Bethel's
doing?
the other one that I didn't bring.
Swanton, now there's talk about Greensboro, in a really positive, good way. Small communities are saying we have to do. They're hanging out. They've been hanging out, and they can't hang out, and they see the models to how to do stuff. Is simply said. So I think that's gonna. I know it's gonna be a great workshop, and one of the reasons I'm going is to continue to put Enosburgh Falls in front of these same people that we see all the time, the state and the federal people. Stay in front of them and have them hear what's going on and be there. So it makes everything easier to get through and stuff like that.
Good.
If you hear anything at that meeting that would be beneficial for this, relate it back to one of us, would be great.
There'll be the people in
Yeah.
the state who know how they do that and who does it. So it'll be easy. I'm happy to do it. It's all day, Killington. I was here 2 or 3 months ago or something, and so there's too many things that I can tell you excitedly. So you can just start yawning or throw something at me or whatever, and I'm happy to just saunter out the door and leave my envelope for Angela. So we've been working on the Enosburgh initiative since a year ago, March, and also on the Economic Development Board. And so here's some updates. So this week we have 20 seniors who are going to be working at the Opera House and working at the Masonic Temple, painting, cleaning, doing whatever else needs to be done. And that's because Shauna and myself and Heather met with the school multiple times and are putting that together, so that can be something that gets established now. We also have a meeting this Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and that's to meet with Maggie and Nicola, to get together. And because we're laying, Heather's created an inventory sheet. It's just very interesting. I just realized something, the connection here. So Heather created an inventory sheet. We're inventorying everybody in the community who is willing to volunteer to work with kids. And then they're coming up with what the kids can and want to do and need to do, and so that we can cross those things. So that in a fall, a kid can come and go hang out with a mason for the day and learn what masons are all about. Or they can hang out with a civil engineer. We've had a high school kid shadow a civil engineer for a day as an experiment this year. So we're that meeting on Thursday is to keep the process going through the summer, so when we get to the fall, we're not starting again. We're not starting up in the fall, but we're ready to see kids and have them start working and do volunteer work or whatever else that can happen. That's kind of the school thing. The Masonic Temple coordinated a meeting. They have been given a 50-50 match to put together an evaluation of the whole building and come up with a long-term plan for its repairs. There's a short-term and long-term. And the other part of long-term is that once that report is done, they'll have access to matching funds at the Division of Economic Development, Historic Preservation Group, whatever that group is. But Caitlin Corkins is the name you'd want to hear. And that's a 50-50 match, and that's also in-kind match. So if you want to do $20,000 worth of work, they'll give you $10,000 in cash. You can put $2,500 of volunteer labor up and $7,500 in cash. And they value volunteer labor, by the way, at $24 an hour, so it is worth quite a
Oh,
bit.
I guess so.
Right. That's the New England stated standard. When we applied for grants through the Economic Development Group, that was the standard that was allowed, $24 an hour for volunteer time. So, yep, that's the national, regional number. So the short term is that we're going to, this summer, refurbish the west side of the Masonic Temple. And that's being done with some people from my company, volunteers, kids, the whole, and your group. Jason is going to provide some staging, some lifts, some people. We're providing the same thing. We have a lift, staging, and people, and then we have a bunch of volunteers with great green shirts on, ready to come to do the work on the weekend. So the idea is this summer that we'll get the west side done, get the evaluation done. You guys, if you want, looking at Pierre, who's a mason, by the way, I would say that making eye contact there is that we have people who help you take you through the grant process. It's not hard. It's not cumbersome at all. It's a state process, and the money gets issued in December. So you file in October, you'll know in December, can do the work. You can go back every year. You just can't go back every year for the same thing. So you go 1 year for repairs and painting, and 1 year for windows, and come back and do other stuff. So we're talking about a 2 to 3 year plan. If you want, if the Masons decide that they want to do that, they could work through and get access to those dollars. We've spoken, again, so it could go on. The Economic Development Board has been reborn. We have new bylaws. We have 8 out of 9 board members. I'm waiting to hear back on the last board member. And we've gotten our house in order. We've bought insurance for officers. We've had our books looked at and brought up to speed. We bought a bond for our treasurer. We have applied for, I guess they're all federal. We've applied for 2 USDA grants, which have already gone in, and we've applied for what's called Northern Borders Regional Commission grants. Those have been completed and filled out and turned in. Northern Borders paid for the diesel building down here to be rehabbed. That's where the money came for that. Okay, and that's a matching grant, and again is both cash and labor can be done. So that's where the money came for that. We've applied for those same dollar amounts, and we've applied for 3 grants with 2 purposes. One is for a feasibility study for the last 5 lots of the industrial park. Valancourt Trucking owns 2. The co-op owned 4, sold 2 to Rick Green. They still hold 2. They're vacant. But we have another 5 vacant lots that are sitting there. So we've asked for money for a feasibility study to say, what should we do here? It's 2018, and this was thought about in 1998. Here's where we are. What do we do? It's sitting there fundamentally empty, permitted but empty. We have expenses. We have about 3 years worth of money in our treasury to bank account to keep the organization afloat, pay our mortgage notes, etc., that kind of stuff. And that'll be to ask the question, what do we do? And one of those things we've talked about is whether or not it should have a incubator building, where we find the money and put up a building and find a core tenant, an anchor tenant, but create a building that's not small. You know, I'm talking about 10,000, 15,000 square feet, where somebody has a business, anchors a business, and then has room for people to put other businesses in there to make that work. That's typical model where you have somebody who's the anchor and you make it happen. So that's the one grant. The other grants we've applied for are revolving loan funds, and they're for local businesses, meaning Enosburgh, you know, with a G or an H, either one. And that money would be available as either as a loan or a matching loans with a bank. Best example, good example was right over here was at People's Trust. A guy came in and wanted to start a trucking company, needed some money, but could only get 10, but needed 20. That revolving loan fund could be there to give him the other 10.
I see.
Bank comes up and says, yeah, well, we're first in line, but you can give the next 10,000, right? So they got their first 10. Not unusual. Happens quite a bit. So we've asked for a substantial amount. We would have anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 to do that with, in our kitty, if you will, here in town with local board members. You know, 5 out of the 9 board members are from Enosburgh Village or town.
Gotcha. That's great.
So we're gonna know about that in August. We'll know
Okay.
about all those 3 grants in August. And then we're looking ahead to what's available coming up next. And then two more things, then I'll let you. So the Better Connections grant was given to us, it's here, we have a steering committee, we're doing interviews this week, this Thursday. We're doing interviews for the consultants, and then on the 15th, we're doing interviews for consultants. Shortly after that, we'll have somebody on board. Their pricing was all identical. I mean, there was a dollar amount on the RFP, so
Right.
there was no bidding. You know, it's not a competitive bid that way. It's about their expertise. Who are they? Who's going to be our manager here? And once they get on board, they're here for about 15 months. So they're here. You can help me with numbers, but they're here from June until next fall, in September. That's how long they're here. And a repeat or refresher is that grant is about talking to everybody in town and figuring out what's the best use of the downtown, how to use the downtown, bikes, cars, traffic, where should signage be, what should it look like, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, where should money be spent. And it's a report, it's a set of drawings and sketches and ideas, and it's also very much, okay, if you want to do this thing, here's where you go to get the money for that, and if you want to do this, is how you raise the money for that.
Plan.
A plan,
Yeah.
yep. And very much like what you guys are going to do, hopefully, for the Masonic Hall, is that if you went in today to ask for the money at the division, you'd probably go to the bottom of the pile because you don't have a plan. They want to, Preservation Trust helps you with the first amount of money to give you the plan that helps you get in the door at the Department of Economic Development. Same thing we heard when we went to talk to the Better Connections people. They didn't like ideas, they wanted plans. You know, you could have a nice idea, but
In business plan.
yeah,
Right.
like we asked about the feasibility study in that meeting, and they said, that's an idea, not a plan. But USDA said, well, we'll give you the money for the plan. So that's who we applied to for the plan for, is USDA. And then we'll have a plan.
Right.
And then we can figure out whether
We
we
can-
are or aren't doing
exactly.
anything together.
And go up the line for grants because we have the plan.
Right. At some point, you're going to need to raise taxes. You don't have to, but at some point, you're going to have to start thinking about raising taxes for programs and ideas. There's only X amount of grant money out there, you know, and there's only so many things you can do with it. I know that's a brusque thing to say. I don't know what to tell you. You know, at some point, you're going to say, how do we want to target things in the town and the village? Who am I? I'm just driving. You know, I could get hit by a bus. My opinion is that for things to improve, for the downtown to improve, for there to be more jobs, you need to target your investments and figure out how that's going to work. And I think many communities get started this way in regards to, you know, seeking out grants, getting plans, putting those things together, and then 7-8 years down the road, sometimes less, okay, what are we going to do? You know, where are we going to get that money? How are we going to raise that money to keep the Opera House going all the time, right? Or other things. You know, volunteerism and grants aren't going to get you there in the long run. There's going to need to be some sort of sustainable way to put that together. Sean and I went to meet with Jonathan a few weeks ago, and then he spoke with the trustees. And our initiative group we meet every week. We have a planning group that meets every other week, and then we have a community meeting open to anybody. Planning meeting is as well. We've been meeting every other week for a year and 4 or 5 months. And because of, some things happened that were really good suggestions. So what we're going to do now in our group, and this is my second request to you, 2 of them actually, is an A and a B, is that we, starting on the 12th, our initiative meeting will be a segment on the trustees meeting. We're going to go there and get 15 minutes on their agenda to say, here's what we're doing in planning and what we want to talk to you about, and at the same time driving people to the trustees meeting.
Oh, so you're going to
Our whole
dovetail your
group.
meeting into the trustees.
Our,
Elm Central went to Monday night test zone for Enosburgh Fire. Yes, Elm Central. Monday night test zone for Enosburgh Fire. Elm Central cleared.
Is there going to be another one? Am I going to jump out of my seat? We're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't, no, they don't test the ambulance, I don't think. On Mondays.
Interesting.
So we're gonna meet monthly in our large group. We're gonna keep planning meetings the same, but once a month, we're gonna make sure that we get on the agenda for the trustees. Here's what we're doing. We're working on this, we're working on that. What are you doing?
Right.
Because there's nobody there. Where's the crowd?
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, we'll have public hearings and
Nobody shows.
Yeah.
3 people show up.
Understood.
Yeah.
We get no less than 15 people, and 25 or 30 people is not unusual for people to come and do stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're perfect, but people are showing up, and everybody's talked about this process. So we're I also asked Jonathan to talk. So this is not news. I am suggesting and asking that you, the select board and the trustees, try to coordinate not an extra meeting, but a meeting once a quarter where you're in the same spot.
We do the,
Yeah.
You do? Okay, so we need to know that. We don't know that. So how do we know that? Where's that going to be? Where we know that you're meeting on a quarterly basis together.
We have to warn it.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes it's usually when some issues come up where we need to meet together, and it's working out that it's quarterly, that we have these issues that
Yeah.
we talk about. But yeah.
it's probably semi-annual.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we've done it.
It
Yeah.
was last fall, I think, the last time we did it.
No, we did it. We didn't. Wait.
No, I don't think, I think it's more like semi-annual.
You went to one of their meetings.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking.
Then
I
they
went to
came-
one of their meetings.
I think the initiative was also kind of brought us
Right,
That was the Better
right
Connections
together,
grant.
right.
You had to
That
vote
could
on
be the last time we met, actually.
And then we get together
Which was the
again
But I know we met down there.
where the warning got messed up.
No, I think last
No.
time you guys went down to their meeting.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
winter.
That's what it was. Yeah. Right. But yeah, no, you're right.
We should have,
My
Quarterly meetings.
outsider's opinion is that, when I was a kid and I left here, I never thought about there being a village and a town. I just thought there was Enosburgh. That's my orientation to Enosburgh. It never was when I left here.
The way it should be, too.
I never left here and said it was one or the other. I never understood that. I still don't, frankly. And I don't understand it certainly now. As a non-tax-paying volunteer guy, I don't, But
being able to-
this is the community. This is your tribe. To break it into 2 tribes, it seems doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. Everything that we're doing on the initiative, Nanagugu, everything we're doing on the initiative and everything we're doing on the economic board is about Enosburgh. It isn't, the revolving loan funds are for Enosburgh, not for just the downtown.
Right.
If you're in West Enosburgh, East Enosburgh, you have an idea or whatever, that's fine. It isn't about only the downtown. Sounds so trite, but what helps one helps others. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is the thing that somebody gets ahead. Well, everybody's going to get ahead if it can get ahead. So what would be great for us is and I mean for the initiative group, is that if you folks can get together with the trustees and agree to meet quarterly, we'll bring people to that meeting. You know what I'm saying? We'll make it a public meeting in a positive way. And not in a complaining way, right? We haven't been negative.
No, right.
We're not negative. This is not about complaining or whining. It's really about helping, volunteering, moving things. We're not taking anybody on, or anything like that. The reason that this started was the example that I saw about the Elm Street project. There was all this, my opinion is there was all this rumbling and grumbling about the Elm Street project. Everybody had these questions and this and that and everything. We got 17 people to go down to the trustees meeting, had a good meeting. The engineer was there, told everybody got the history, everybody saw what was going on, and everybody walked out and nobody pissed him off. Nobody went out the door and said, okay, they got it. There was information, there was a discussion, versus a small article in the paper or rumblings around town. So that was a really good model for me to see that happen and say, well, that's really, the better way to communicate, isn't it? Respectfully. And
Right.
again, it wasn't a challenging name calling.
Right.
You haven't heard that or seen that, and I have no interest in that. I have too much of it in my office during the day. I have no interest in being involved in it when I get in my car at night or
Right.
afternoons. Okay, so that's
Yeah, no, that's great recommendation.
I will call Thompson tomorrow and try to set up the next
Yeah.
incident this quarter and then the following
Sure.
quarter.
Because we usually, in the summer months, our agendas aren't quite as heavy, so
Yeah,
it's always a little
exactly.
better time to be able to meet with them. So.
There really are a whole lot of other things going on. I could go, I'm not going to, but I don't think I'm going to. We got 2 small grants. The bike store's renting bikes this summer. We have kayaks and canoes from a grant. Ben's gonna manage them, so they're available. We're putting a pop-up welcome center in the.
Susie was here tonight.
We're pretty sure, oh yeah, she's already here.
We
Just
already
tonight.
actually
Okay.
made a motion to.
Good, great, so we're gonna do a pop-up center, their kids are going there this week to paint the floor, clean the place, talk about marketing stuff, blah, blah, blah. So, we've got a lot of things that we're trying. They're not perfect, they won't all work out, but it's positive stuff.
Right.
It's
Good.
we can work with the Historic Society, we can work with the stores.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you,
Good
Jim.
to see you.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you
too.
for
Really, good to see you.
everything you're doing.
Thank you, thank you. I'm having a good time.
Good.
I'm
Sure,
gonna
and
wear
it's-
out at some point, honestly, but I'm having a good time. And we picked, there's a lot of people who want or are willing to help but don't know how, or don't know how to visit with folks, or not to visit with folks, but just to get engaged, there's a perception, not accurate, but a perception of, the clickiness, like I'm not from here, so they're not gonna this or that, or whatever. Your new recreation director is terrific.
Yeah, she's great.
She's terrific. She's from out of town. She's participating on the county-wide recreation initiative that we're working on with a bunch of people. She and her husband and I are meeting this week for coffee. He wants to get involved. He wants to volunteer in town. New residents on Orchard Street who bought the house. For me, the old Courier house.
yeah.
Oh, that's been sold?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep, to new people. They're both helping. They helped with the float. They're helping with the Opera House this week.
Nice.
They've come to the economic board meeting. They're in town. They're excited to get involved. So we're people who
Pulse
live
is
here,
good.
people who are new
Pulse,
here.
yeah, exactly.
We need to take what's here and ratchet it up. We need to take people that we have and the experiences that we have and the places that you have here. You have a lot here.
We need to make it so we're drawing more than people in.
Yeah, and it's just great that, Yvonne has emailed me 3 times to get she's asking me to sit down with her. Her husband wants to be involved.
Yeah,
So,
she's great.
so to that end, anybody who knows anybody out there who's got a skill or a resource, just let it be known or send them to talk to anybody. The town of Bethel, is it Bethel? Yeah, downtown Bethel. They had an idea. And I'm sure I'll see the song and dance show about it, but it's really a neat idea. And that is, they have a thing called Bethel University, and they had an empty building, and they set it up as a classroom. And anybody in town can have a class of any kind they want. Whether it's about English or writing or pottery or building or woodworking or anything like that. People go, they get together, they have snacks together, and they have a class. In a downtown area, and it's just that's not easy to do.
No.
But
fun.
Jennifer's art show did fine. Did you know about Jennifer Bright's art show? She did an art show a couple Saturdays ago, and it was totally fine. People were there was not like gangbusters, but people were coming all day long. They saw the balloons. They came in to check out this. They yacked about that, and then I think she opened it up on Dairy Day in the afternoon after 2 or
neat.
something.
Neat.
Good.
Cool.
Could go
I
on all
appreciate it,
day.
Jim.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Sounds great. Now, you said you had to leave early tonight?
No.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
You had the maps at the beginning?
I had the
Beers
maps
later,
at that-
bye-bye.
I meant like that wasn't staying long.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because I
thought you
was
said,
like,
I'm not staying long. And I'm like,
No.
well, we're not. We're gonna get this.
Thank you for
done.
listening.
Yeah,
I mean, I
I know.
appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
yeah,
you.
thanks for all you're doing.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, so right on top of that, I guess the next thing on the agenda is a stabilization contract.
So, like I said, I brought Montpelier's and Randolph's. I should grab Bethel's too. But basically, I think this is where we should.
What are you gonna do, combine the best of all of them?
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, clearly Montpelier has
City.
information city that just would not apply to us. Randolph's is kind of more our speed.
More our
For
size.
sure. And so, but there might be things in the Montpelier one you like.
Right.
So,
right.
I'll just kind of walk you around Randolph's for a second. So basically, this just talks about like the purpose of the tax stabilization, which you can look at later. You know, the policy is intended to give guidelines to what the tax stabilization is, to create a process. Like, it's basically just outlines what tax stabilization is. Then when you go to the second page, and I love right at the top of the second page, it says, nothing in this policy shall be construed to create a right to tax stabilization. By statute, all tax stabilization decisions are at the discretion of the select board. And because of town meeting, they have given us the authority to enter into contracts. So it is at our discretion of whether we enter into them or not. So here's the things that we need to decide as a board. It's like this idea of public interest criteria, like who gets to, right? So as threshold requirement, applicants must meet the following criteria. They must be creating and enhancing employment. Is that something we want? Promoting economic development and enhancing the tax base. Applicants shall be ranked and given priority by the number of criteria they meet. So these are decisions that Randolph has made. This is how they've decided. Parties eligible to apply. It says stabilization shall only be considered for those commercial or industrial buildings which are either owned or leased by new companies locating in Enosburgh, which I don't know if we want to say new companies, right? I don't know. Or existing companies renovating or expanding in Enosburgh, right? Mm-hmm. Stabilization shall apply only to the value enhancement of the property and not to the existing property value. And then this is where we have to make decisions. Stabilization is intended to encourage measurable benefit to the town's economy and tax base. Therefore, only projects will result in $200,000 or more of increased property value will be considered. And actually, Montpelier has that same number, that they will only allow.
You're not gonna fool around.
People who are just going to bring in an extra $50,000. It's like only if you bring in a value of more than $200,000. And actually, it does make sense. And then there's also, like if you look at the application process, it needs to include a project description, number of jobs created, like all of these things. Whereas Montpelier actually specifies must employ more than this many people, and that's a decision I guess we as a select board want to make. Like, does it have to increase jobs, or are we happy with just the increased property value, or do we want both? So that's kind of what I wanted to bring you, is for that you maybe to kind of look through these before the next meeting and just think about, if somebody were to come to us with a contract, what would we consider?
Do any of these talk about the length? Like he was talking about 5-year stabilization.
Correct.
Plan
The statute says that it cannot. Where is it? Is it on the first page?
Yep.
The statute says you.
Excess of 10. Okay.
Yeah, you can't excess 10. It says contracts provide short-term incentives to commercial or industrial business in order to obtain long-term investment potential. So yeah, it cannot exceed 10 years. But again, it's up for us to determine how many years we want to go.
Now, if we say if we decide on this project 5 years and then somebody else comes in with another project asking for 10, is it something we can wiggle the wobble or is it?
Yep, no,
or-
we can make that decision.
So it doesn't, it's
I
per,
I
per
think it
project.
should
Per
probably be
project.
on dollar value.
Right.
Per pro-
increase.
So it's per project and we can make that decision. It's
Right.
not 5 years across the board or whatever. it is.
Right.
So, okay.
I mean, as you can see, you know, I mean, think about how long it took for that Raptoy culvert. Like, if there's anybody who's working with some kind of grant process to get there, sometimes it could take 3 years before they even break
Oh.
ground, right? So I think it would depend on the project, opposed to this where they're going to be done within 5 years for sure,
Yeah,
and then you can start reaping the benefit.
depends how long the project's gonna take to get up
Exactly.
Yeah.
and money flowing.
Exactly. But so again, I can get the Bethel one, but like I said, Randolph's kind of more our speed. I think
Yeah.
more than Montpelier. Like if you looked, you don't have to look at it long, but Montpelier has like levels, like criteria for level 1, criteria for level 2, and I should say Montpelier. The city manager said that they were going to revamp this because they didn't really like this was written in, I think he said 2008. Maybe 2003. 2003. So they are going to actually revamp theirs because they didn't like it. And he said that. He said, here's an example, but it's not great. So, but you can see they have way more levels, whereas this is much more kind of universal to any project. And they have a neat little application process, like at the back, like the tax stabilization application. And it basically says what's the estimated completed cost, how many jobs are created, how many dollars do you anticipate will be spent in the community over the next 5? I mean, it asks for all of that stuff.
I think, yeah, something like that is
Yeah.
gonna weed out some of the projects that are questionable.
Exactly.
If they can fill out all this extra information for us, they're really serious.
Yeah, so I kind of liked this one. So, again, rate it over and just think of some ideas, like what do you think should be some of the criteria that would get an okay stamp?
Okay, so the process is we're gonna choose and come up with something like this. Do we have to have a public meeting again?
No,
Okay.
because it's a policy. We would want Vaughn to look at it after, obviously. Yeah, it's kind of like the personnel policy. We
Yeah,
just
okay.
create what we want, and approve it here as the one we're going to go with. Like I said, Randolph's is pretty
And
good.
the thing is that should we include the village now in this?
This
It
is our-
probably would be nice to do that. It would be good to do that. Or at least to inform them of what we're doing.
Right.
See if they want
And
to
if-
jump on board with
Well,
us.
you know, it's if we give them the information, then at least they're able to not be blindsided.
So,
I mean, we can kind of look at it and come up with something like this and put it in front of Vaughn and then at
bring
the
it
same
to the
time say
village.
this is the Vaughn is looking over this, and if there's anything you guys may
And we-
see or
yeah, we could ask them for some feedback if there's something we're not thinking about. I just don't want to open up too much of a can of worms.
No,
Yeah,
but
no, you're
it's-
exactly right. Nope, we should. It would be good practice to do that. So maybe at the next.
I mean, maybe we could try to. Well, I mean, if we can say next month have a meeting with them,
yeah,
say, hey, and put it on the agenda. This is what we're working on.
what our thoughts are.
Maybe they can have it before the meeting so they can look at it and
Right.
we can discuss it at the meeting.
Yep. So okay, so look through it, come back with what you like, what you don't like, what you want, what you don't want. And if you don't do your homework, you all get a detention.
But
Mrs. Rico.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
going on
Mrs. Rick.
vacation.
I don't think so.
Okay, the next thing on agenda is lease land deed from town of Enosburgh to Todd and Annette Brown for Vaughn Como. Annette is my sister, so I'm gonna have to recuse myself from any decision on this. But basically, there's a lot. We had talked about this a few years ago, or was it last year?
We did it about a year and a half ago with the Parsons on Tyler Branch when they got ready to sell their place and move out of town.
Remind me what's
Well, there's a
that?
good paragraph, I know,
Okay.
that I'll have Larry read, that kind of describes the reasoning behind it, which is right here.
Okay, so a portion of said land and premises is thought to be school land or lease land as referenced in deeds and the chain of title for said property. The purpose of this quick claim deed is to eliminate any school land with quotes and or lease lands and or public land or glebe land interest and to subject lands and premises by merging the underlying fee title and leasehold interest referenced above. So basically,
Yeah. tell me.
some of these deeds out there have these old references.
To leased land.
It's a lease land, and I can show you.
And so their property has this leased land on it.
So you get lease land, and there was bills that used to get sent out as little as
As though they
2005, and we collected some 83 cents on some particular pieces. So we don't want to do that.
No. But so I just want the concept is that the town owned it and they leased it, or we leased it?
So,
Oh.
so this property,
How does that work?
It's basically
this property here
Oh.
used to be part of the Poor Farm property.
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
I guess
that
the poor farm.
So
Okay.
there was language way back then for the poor farms
Right.
and stuff, and then
Yeah.
it got sold, and,
I got
but
you.
all the stuff was still attached in these deeds.
I got
And you might see where there were schoolhouses, and then somebody bought that particular piece, but the town
Still
kept
town owned
interest
it.
in it.
Oh, or owned it, but
Yeah.
I got you. I got you.
So this land is in Enosburgh that they were talking about.
I'm thinking
Right.
they have to do one in Bakersfield for this.
Yeah, their land is in both. Yeah,
On Butternut Hall.
it goes into both. In which they're selling this property, they're moving to Lindenville. There's new owners coming in
Okay.
and stuff. But I can't act on any of
So
this.
what is, so, okay, I'm totally agreeing with this, so
There
I
we go.
don't know, nothing. So what are they really asking us to?
They're asking us to give up our
Our
interest in this leased land, and so instead of collecting the 83 cents a year, we're just reverting it back to the landowners themselves and giving up
Yep.
all rights of ownership.
Yep.
So what, we own it now and we're leasing
No,
it to them? No?
We own an interest.
Like a lien almost.
Yeah,
So it's
our name
it's
is not on title, but the lease is on title. You know, like we don't actually physically
Own it.
own it because they're ones that.
It's almost
pay
like
the
an
mortgage.
easement.
It is, yeah.
Like an easement
So
almost.
the easiest way they can do is just let it go.
Yeah.
Well, the easiest thing to do is to do the deed over to the current owners.
Right.
Which we
so being a portion of 45.1 acres, more or less, 40 acres in the town of Enosburgh, and 5 acres in the town of Bakersfield. So there's your.
Todd and Annette are paying the attorney for this, not us, so, you know, Vaughn is doing it, we won't have any charges incurred.
Woodruff's or
And we have done it.
Yeah, it
again.
makes sense
The
to.
last one was Parsons, but we've done it on 2 properties now.
So we haven't found out that
Principals.
property in the town, do we?
We probably have 10, 15.
Wow.
Not very many.
Oh, yeah. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's,
It don't
well, like I
matter.
said, 83
Don't
cents isn't gonna make you go out searching. Stanley Penny had one on Horseshoe Circle.
Probably
Somebody
from like
named
an old
Johnson.
schoolhouse. kind
This
of
one
thing?
was the Bakersfield Poor Farm that we're talking about.
Right.
It was back in 1938.
That goes back quite a few years now.
I found a tax bill from 1917 for my house.
One place we
$2.
collected was
$2. Tax
Martin Reed, 83 cents again on Mark.
Huh.
James Govan on Woodard Neighborhood, $9. That was the most. So they're just.
Yeah.
Dean's parents have one on their property.
Good.
Well,
Huh. Yeah, that makes sense. Do we need a motion
So
for
on,
that?
so on something like this, we'd need a motion.
We need a
So-
motion and the vice chair should sign.
Correct.
Doc.
That's
So-
confusing.
Because
So I move
Yep.
to revert the deed to the landowner.
Second it.
So
So you,
motions, I can say that, or I guess you can if you want.
go ahead.
You, alright.
So motion's been made to revert
The deed to the landowner.
the deed to the landowner. And this is in reference to
Annette.
Todd and Annette Brown, right? So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right?
Alright,
All those opposed? So passed.
And you're gonna have to sign that. There's a note from Vaughn, and
Who seconded that motion? You did.
Holy cats. There's a lot of these. He didn't sign these.
Robert didn't sign it?
He didn't sign them.
We'll give them back to him.
He didn't sign this one. He signed this
You
one.
signed some of them?
Look.
I didn't look.
Oh, yeah, you signed this one. It was only that one. He doesn't put-
DJ, right there? From over here.
No, I'm the witness.
The other witness, I'm over
You're
here.
a witness. Huh. Okay.
okay. So,
I'll revert the chair back to Larry.
so the next agenda item is the sheriff's at Robert's desk up at the fire station.
Never mind.
Physically sitting there, I guess. Give or take. Terry could probably let us
yeah,
give
Robert
us update on
told
that.
me about it, and, you know, we basically see him. Well, some of the crew, right? BJ, some of the crew come in, see him sitting there, they're distributed on the desk and stuff, wee hours of the night. And
Be comfortable.
Getting comfortable.
so do you want me to see Bob Norris?
Yeah,
and
somebody needs to come.
talk to him about it and see if we can take care of this issue? They have absolutely no business being in there whatsoever.
Oh.
No business being in Robert Gleason's
Oh,
office.
here you go. I'll check it.
Yeah, because they got their own space.
I got it?
Yeah, you got it. That's right. I guess wasn't understanding why he was so upset, but they're not in that office. They're in a different office.
Yeah, they're in a different office. They have their own office.
Oh.
But here they were sitting at Robert's desk.
Were they, just while they're on hours, must be, the sheriffs must
Yeah,
be
their
there.
duty was middle of the night was 12 o'clock.
6 to 2 or so.
Yeah.
So Terry, you're gonna
I'll talk to Bob, yeah.
talk to Robert.
I'll get more details from Robert Gleason before I, more details. And then I'll talk to him.
How did Roger Losby, he show up?
Oh yeah, he did. Super nice guy.
Called me the other day.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting down in Charlie Boy's last Thursday morning there, waiting for my load of parts to go to New Hampshire there, and he was, phone rang, it was him. Hi, Terry. Gary Taylor said I should call you up and set up a meeting with you and talk to you. Yeah. Okay. It ain't gonna be this week.
Good guy.
He texted me his phone number and I'll call him here along sometime and talk to him.
He seems like a good guy. So it's just that one that's not signed.
Okay.
That's the only one.
Okay. Next we have driveway permit. Got the Joey.
Yeah, it's for Chester Arthur
Just got
Road.
somebody's pen.
Oh, it's not mine. So there's already an existing driveway.
No.
They just are choosing to move it a little. It's her last name was St. Pierre. She's not. I don't know who she is, but she married Brian Corliss, and they would like to move their driveway.
And Joey's.
One way or the other. Joey's okay with it. He's met with him, and he says it's fine.
And where is this?
Chester Arthur.
Just
Used to be the Dorothy.
What?
They're
What?
moving it 143 feet towards Route 108.
What's the address?
$81.29.
I must be just, my neighbor must be, because I'm 8333.
Do you remember Dorothy somebody?
Yeah,
Her house.
yeah.
They bought that a couple
Cecil-
years ago.
Cecil had a nickname. I won't say it.
I'm sure there's a camera.
But yeah, it's just the next house up from where I am.
Oh.
There's actually no pictures of it.
But long Joey's all right with it. Me, it's all right with me.
So I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the application for a right-of-way permit for Brian Corliss on 8129 Chester Arthur Road. Any more discussion? Have none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. So we'd be doing the second page signing. Next on the agenda, town awarded structure grant from Vermont AOT for bridge number 50 by Carol Rice.
Nice.
Need to discuss with the village ownership of bridge number 50 by the falls. Joey feels this is necessary. Because they got two bridge 50s
Yeah.
and we don't want them thinking this grant money should be going to this bridge. Because it's not the
And she
same.
said there's a problem with a couple of places on this one down here by the falls.
Yeah.
When you guys watched it last week, he got under there and he looked and there was some necessary repairs that need to be made.
For this one?
Not it.
I don't think it's gonna be something where you need a grant, but repairs do need to be made, so it's gonna cost somebody some money.
So we're gonna have that conversation again. Looks like we're having another meeting. That one's gonna be a doozy. I need a drink before that one.
So should we just send them a letter or just have a meeting?
I guess we'll just do, the summer meeting.
Because this isn't something that's going to be the next
And I
month
don't
or
know
so.
that they'll give you an answer then, I'm sure the legal team will be necessary.
Mm-hmm.
We're perfectly happy to.
It's all you. Wasn't it like Africa when they were drawing borders? The Kaiser of Germany, the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth, they were cousins.
Oh.
And they made the border because they were arguing over who had more mountains.
Oh.
So she gave him one. We will give them a bridge.
Says Queen Polly.
Oh, I didn't even make that correlation. And the Kaiser of Germany. Yeah.
Alright, so we should make a note on that to add that to the agenda for that meeting once we have that. Next on the agenda is the rec office.
Oh, yeah, what was that?
Wants to move her space.
I knew nothing.
She's currently upstairs by the window, where Angie was.
Yeah.
She would like to be over in this corner. Which
Okay.
is above the vault. There's no electricity in that room.
Oh. Why?
I don't know.
Why
I
does
mean,
she want to move?
Yeah. She wants to be in the room? That room?
I would
The
think,
one with the doors?
I I would be like to be by the window where he
Yeah.
was up there.
But there's no, I said I would tell you guys, but there's no power, and all of our records are there, but
Yeah.
she's willing to have a team come in and remove them. But
Did she didn't give a reason though? I need a reason.
I don't know.
You wanna talk to her at a
Yeah, no, I'll
rec
talk to her.
meeting?
I won't make the next one, but I'll
No.
talk to her.
Just to get her feeling.
Feeling for
more.
like, is it worth running electricity, or can
Well,
we
yeah.
spruce up the place a little
And
bit?
I'm not sure how easy it would be to run
Yeah.
electricity because the vault
Right,
is above the vault.
When we
right.
already have a
Could we do
space that
lamps
she
with
can use.
extension cords? Like my
I
house?
don't even, yeah.
But
No.
she's not really. She's not really in here that many hours a week either, right?
She, you know, some weeks she just works from home. Sometimes she's here, but when she's here, it's Wednesday afternoon and Friday afternoon.
Mhm.
She is 1 to 3, 1 to 4,
On Wednesdays and Fridays?
or both days, and
Yep.
sometimes she doesn't come in that week at all, so I would think that
No. Right.
that's your decision.
Is the, like, the windows, they don't function in the front?
They
right?
don't, but Pierre had a guy come the other day and look at them, and we had discussed that we would be putting in new windows, and we're on the track for that. I don't know what the schedule is.
Are
I don't know
they-
about new
they're
windows,
getting
but
replaced.
when I was walking in, for some reason, the paint on the second story is all. The first one is like, what is it? It wasn't painted 2 different times.
Yeah.
No,
Was it?
no.
No? What did I thought somebody came in?
But
Well,
it's all
you know
coming
what?
apart up there.
The underneath, under the bottom part, when we replaced this window and that window, they might have put new boards on and painted. But they didn't do above the roof of the porch, so that might be why.
Yeah, so we gotta look at that. And at the same time, it'll be one of those of, I'm gonna meet with BJ after. And look at the width of what these are down here. And make it that up here, and just
And-
make them shorter.
Could you
Yeah, I
also
think they just need to be
So
like
pro-
functioning.
so
like
proportionally.
Square
open?
window.
Yeah.
Right. Because
Yeah.
it gets
You can
hot
literally
up
see
there.
outside in some of those window casings. Literally, you can look there and see outside there. We have plastic over them.
Yep.
But there's holes.
Yeah.
But
We need to. Yeah. It's the.
Larry, they
town
must use the
clerk's
same
office.
paint they used to do paint the Kelflop over here. That didn't last two days.
And then some years it lasts years.
I know, it takes forever for it to.
Yeah, I think we need to start putting at least some money into this building. I mean,
I wonder if
it
that would,
doesn't say much when you're this is crumbling.
I wonder if that would help. Is that one of her concerns, or is it just
She
this?
didn't really say, she
Yeah,
just
I'll
said
ask her
she
like
would
why.
like to move her space. I mean, she's a very nice person.
No, she
Mhm.
is. Yeah, and our lamp's an option.
no, not really, because your computers and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Although she works off a laptop.
Oh,
She works off a laptop.
Maybe just have a conversation.
Yeah,
with
no,
her
I
about
will.
putting some new windows in, and we'll
And would that
spruce
make
it
a
up, maybe some
difference?
paint or
Right.
something,
Okay.
maybe that would-
How is your storage space?
That's where we keep it, and
No, I'm just saying in
It's-
general. I mean, are you starting to get cramped in here?
definitely
Because-
in different places. I mean, the vault is pretty much at capacity. I mean, we stack stuff on top of stuff.
What's down cellar?
Down cellar is very old stuff relating more or less Fran's payroll or old school documents that are in such rough shape they can't be salvaged. And on our side, it would be just old records, bookkeeping stuff that's not permanent. Anything permanent has been moved upstairs and saved, and we've got it in totes and taped to keep the mold in place. I don't think there's anything left down there that is needed or needs to be saved. We brought all the grand list stuff a long time ago.
Is it quite humid down there? Is it in the
Yeah,
summertime?
it's just,
Is it?
it's gross. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I don't recommend replacing it. But, I mean, upstairs isn't bad. We need to do some stuff.
We just need to organize it a little.
And
We've got our stuff organized in the room, but I think what would help,
well, you do
maybe
have a
is
ginormous
long-term,
train up there.
some big sturdy shelving to put
Yeah.
some stuff on in the future, but
Right.
yeah, we
I
definitely.
wonder what's gonna happen with
the
Ronald
train.
Nussel gone. The train.
They opened it up over the weekend,
Okay.
but gonna say it is a little unfortunate that we have all that up there because it could make some nice,
I know.
but what are you gonna do?
Where
Is there
could we
somebody
put
that's
it?
taking the train thing over? Is there?
Well,
Okay.
Clay, Loose,
Jenny's?
Ginny's,
Man,
person,
Right.
and Alan Granshaw
oh,
are the ones that have always helped Ron.
oh, okay.
So they were here last week getting it ready.
Wouldn't it be nice to put in a nice welcome center? The trains. Okay, so I'll talk to her about that. What's
While we're on the
next?
subject of a couple building
Oh.
things, can I skip over to,
Yeah.
so when I was doing insurance inspection with
Oh,
the inspector the other day, and realized how hot it was at the Opera House, phone calls. The Opera House has a couple things. So in the ticket booth, there is a dangling light fixture that he zoomed right in on, he's like, what is this? It's like one of these, but it's half hanging wires and a bent, almost like somebody jumped and grabbed it and pulled it down. And then they have their costume room or the green room.
right.
Well, you can't even open the door.
What? Why?
Because
there's
somebody has thrown
bags.
bags of
Oh.
costumes in the way, and so he wasn't impressed with that.
Oh, who are we talking about again?
The inspector from
The inspector.
Vermont, sitting in town.
Oh, did you pass that on?
I did not pass it on. I didn't feel like I should be the one to do that.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's up to us to get the electrician to fix the thing.
No. I think it's.
It's up to Frank.
I think
It'll
it's
be
up to
something that,
friends. It'll
we
come
can-
back here
we-
anyway. But
I'll address.
yeah, you'll do that. Here, I'll do that. Don't
Okay.
forget.
Next on the agenda, portalets at the fire station reduced by 1.
Here, I'll take care of that one too.
So, it needs to be reduced by 1?
Terry feels that one is only necessary, and since we are coming to the end of the season, that probably is a good idea.
I see two of them up there the other day, and I said, wait,
Why
we
are there
only
two?
had one there last year,
Yeah.
you know? And I said, what the hell are we doing with two?
Yeah, there's not even 2 at the dairy center.
Yes, there is.
Is there?
Mhm.
There wasn't?
And you know,
We're paying for two.
There's not
Well,
2.
The ball team, Little League is paying for two.
Yeah.
There are not 2. Went in one just last week.
'Cause
At the dairy
The
center?
bill for two is,
Wonder if they didn't get mixed up.
That's
Right,
probably
we said
what
we were
happened.
2
I'm
and
like,
2.
I'm here to tell you, I got
Oh, it's
one
supposed
to
to be 2
choose
and 2?
from.
we're getting charged two and two.
No,
You sure?
pretty sure there was one,
I'll
One.
call them and ask them.
unless they hit it.
Oh, so what were you
Cleaner
doing? What were you
usage?
doing in the ball field late at night?
Who said late at night? And games go till 8 o'clock. Thank you very much. They're still playing.
I thought maybe you were watching a movie.
Alright, next on the agenda.
so can we cut by 1
Yeah.
up there? Okay.
Yeah, that
That
makes
shouldn't be
sense.
no problem, we never really had one, so. we don't
And then
need
we're
to.
gonna get the one over at the Opera House moved too.
Yeah.
Now, we kind of accommodated for
Right.
the event this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Just in
And
case.
seeing how it was there, it's just
Oh,
It's a good
wow.
idea.
I mean, because
Good idea.
Well, we didn't dare not to, because
yeah.
we didn't
that's
know
it.
we didn't know what
Didn't
the
know.
situation was.
No, that's a good idea.
Okay,
Or-
so next on the agenda is disability insurance
You want cookie?
coverage for
You're super good.
Oh, come on, let's put him on camera.
our workers. This is something Polly requested to look into, and BJ got the information, and basically, you're looking at monthly premium of $131
For all employees?
no,
for
full-time.
seven
full-time.
7 full-time.
full-time.
131 a month?
Yeah.
That's not per person, that's
That's
per.
just per everybody?
Yeah,
That's not much.
That's not much money.
No.
well, it's not very many people.
But still.
Well, it's
Yeah, the
basically
Selectboard
insurance where you're
Yeah,
getting
exactly.
somebody not needing.
So what's this? What's this
So-
actually cover?
Probably can.
Oh, I don't know what it actually covers.
Minimum hours 30, unless
Right.
others agree.
So basically, usually, like I was saying, usually when you cap somebody's, like, you know, normally you can let sick time roll over.
Right.
But we in our personnel policy have capped it at, I think it was 200, what was it, 200 hours? Something like that. And we usually, when you cap somebody's sick time, it's usually to pick up disability insurance, right? Like for instance, I get 90 days, and after 90 days, a disability insurance would pick up. So I noticed we didn't have any short-term or long-term disability. So basically, if somebody were
there's
really
another one
sick,
The
like
two different quotes for two different.
cancer treatment or whatever,
Two
after
different-
their 200 days, they would be getting nothing from us.
Yeah, right.
And so,
I think it's based on
by getting disability insurance after their 200 days,
hours, I think that's.
disability insurance would kick in. So what did it actually cover?
There's
if you don't
actually
know?
two, I didn't go through the whole
Okay,
thing,
so what is it?
there's two quotes, one's 131 monthly for 7 employees, volume is that's supposed to be hours.
Which I think in volume means hours.
Okay.
3,361 hours. The other one is 7 employees, volume of 3,040 hours. That one's 115 monthly.
So, where's my calculator?
Well, I'd go with that 131. I mean, there's not
That's
enough,
not
there's
a lot.
enough
Yeah,
difference.
so it's a little bit of difference in the paragraph above says weekly income benefit for class 1 will be payable for maximum shown above from the 8th day from the accident or 8th day for sickness and for a maximum benefit duration of 26 weeks. Weekly benefit will not exceed 60% of the insured person's weekly earnings.
Okay.
The other one is 50%.
Okay, so 60% of their income.
Oh, okay.
This plan provides 100% backdoor integration with employer sick leave or salary continuous plan.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think considering too, all our full-time employees minus, would this cover ambulance too?
Just farm.
Just Barb, have been here for like a significant number of time. That kind of protection I think is valid.
And the least, on the highway department, they've all been together the least amount of time, 14 years.
14 years, exactly, that's crazy.
Do they have this for part-time people?
They probably do, but we didn't get a quote.
Yeah, I don't think we would offer it for part-time.
Because then that would be running into like, do we do it for the ambulance and how do we do it for them? Because
Right.
sometimes some work
I think
12 hours.
full-time
And then
employee.
they might not work again for a couple weeks. Then we would be paying on their.
Because I noticed that even over at the school, it's like, there's people who, like the janitorial staff, have this long-term disability, but they're having to like borrow days to get them to their long-term disability. So I think if you can cap your days, now granted, if you had somebody who used all their sick time, there would be a gap between what they're paid for and when their disability insurance starts. You know what I'm saying?
It's like,
Right, but this
it's
is like,
eight
I'm
So
days.
assuming
this
it's
is-
worst case scenario.
This is worst case scenario, yeah, exactly.
No, this is just something to think about. And I don't know if it ever could be done or not, but I'm just thinking about the fire department.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what we get for pay is not much.
Mm-hmm.
And if we get hurt out there,
I think we do pay disability already for the firemen, it's just a different kind than a.
oh, you do?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but we pay it through UI, which is like through the co-op. So we pay everything else through the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. But then we have extra coverage for ambulance rescue workers and fire department through UI.
Oh, okay, just long as,
Yeah.
I was just thinking about the
No,
people
absolutely.
volunteering.
Because we're
You
actually
know,
in
out there and
dangerous
putting your
situations.
line, putting your life on the line, and,
No, we have extra through them.
okay.
Anything else popping up?
no. I
Okay.
mean, it kind of gives a breakdown of requirements or what conditions they have to meet. This last page basically the breakdown of what the proposals were.
Now, would they have to pay any of the premium or no?
You can make them.
Well, $131 a month.
Yeah, it's not,
Like-
it's not
like
even
nothing.
to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, you stop and look at, like we've been talking with these employees, they've been with us for an awful long time. and the older they get too, the more
Exactly.
something could happen, and,
And actually, there's been a lot of discussion in towns because they're having trouble keeping their highway workers.
Right.
So there's actually been roundtable discussions where they're trying to get other towns to get involved because they're having such trouble keeping their workers longer
Right.
than 2 and 3 years.
And nothing's more tragic
Are
than
you ready
having
for a
somebody
motion, Larry?
who's really sick and then get
I
nothing.
think this is just a quote, so you're gonna have, we'll have to get some
Yeah.
stuff, but yeah, I
Okay.
think we're ready for a motion.
Now, is there a length on duration of any of these payments on either one of them quotes, or they both?
I can ask.
Oh, yeah,
how
that's a
long,
good
if it
question.
goes up, if it's a yearly thing, or how long that price
Or-
will be.
Yeah.
If they're.
The above rates are guaranteed
How
for
long
2
the-
years from the effective date of
Oh,
coverage.
okay. 2 years.
2 years is good.
Wow, that is pretty good. So,
So if they're, but if somebody gets hurt or can't work, how long how long do they
Oh, you're
pay the?
asking how long the coverage
Yeah,
will
how
go.
long do they cover the employee? Is there a set time on either one?
was that the 2 years you were talking about?
No, that's,
That's-
right now, here's the premium, we're gonna set it at that
set it-
price.
oh, I
And
see
what
what
he's
you're saying.
asking is,
How long is
okay,
it covered for?
okay, he's hurt, how long is that gonna cover for? What was the conditions? Insured.
Yeah, it must be some kind of time because then it would kick over to like state disability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
federal, Social Security or
So,
something.
right, exactly.
You would assume the higher one is better, but
Did I hear somebody say 26 weeks? Did you say something about 26 weeks, Larry?
That must be bi-weekly pay.
Okay,
yeah, right there.
income benefit class will be payable to the maximum shown above from the 8th day for accident or 8th day for sickness, and for a maximum benefit duration of 26 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, I thought I heard.
6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I.
Now, is the other quote the same? Is that, or are they?
Yeah, this benefit will not exceed 60%. The other one is, the only difference
So
is
6
age
months, if
26.
you're
26,
26, you're gonna get your
50%.
ducks in a row to get some payment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would at least get you 6 months of 60% pay.
Which is a lot for some people.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You know, to
Or-
help them
Yeah, no,
stay
exactly.
above water.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And potentially to get on true
Rates
disability if
quoted.
you need to, right.
Are effective for 90
Or we
days.
could move to Canada and get 2 years.
That's through League Cities and Towns,
Yes,
right?
it is. They set you up with those things.
Yeah, they-
And she
yeah.
said that if you decide tonight, it would take them at least the next 3 to 4 weeks to get everybody on, and because it's a lengthy process. I guess.
Okay.
She said it would be effective July.
Okay. So I make a motion to go with the option 1 for the short-term disability
Here, I asked if
insurance.
she's ready for the. If she
Oh.
butts-
I'll second it.
and she butts right in and.
That's what I
They
do.
don't even give me a chance to do nothing.
Okay.
I'm not even
I
gonna vote on it.
retract my motion.
I'm not even gonna vote on it.
A motion has been made and seconded to take the option 1-0 for disability insurance with a monthly premium of $131.08. Any more discussion? Now Terry really wants some more input here.
I ain't saying no more.
If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Yeah, there'd probably be some extra language and stuff that
Yeah, they probably
that
have
we're
papers
gonna
they
have to look
sign.
at to,
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a
Preliminary.
proposal, so we'll have to sign something.
Did anybody else want to look at the
Evaluations.
ambulance evaluations?
Yeah, we probably just put in the minutes that,
Oh.
we reviewed them, but they need to be,
They all meet expectation and 3 exceed expectation.
but they also need, the supervisor's signature.
1.
One of them.
Yeah, they're all signed except for 1.
Yeah, who does his?
We do.
We do.
So we need to do.
Remember last
That's
time
right,
he
that's
was
right.
he came in, we sat him right down and
So we probably should do that next meeting. Okay.
Which we need to do Joey's. Have we done Joey's? We've done the dog catchers. Which we need to do that again, I think. We should have one night of evaluations, probably.
You wanna do it next time?
Alright,
Maybe.
what do we got here? That's all I had on the agenda, so now we just gotta...
Fine.
Oh wait, there is one more thing here that wasn't on the agenda, but I see it's in the file, a couple things here. One's a permit for Terry Magnan.
Right, it's a little confusing because we've never, and I called Joey to find out about this. So, Kelby brought this in for his parents, and it's saying that he's constructing a commercial access for bus business, outdoor recreation area, retail establishment, sugar house, as well as permit an existing residential access. So they seem to have signed off on it, this guy from AOT. So we're going to, but then the next page, then has their name, and we had to fill this out. We did. Do we have fire protection, police, rescue, service, road maintenance? The only thing we don't have is solid waste. We don't have a disposal area here in this town. So I checked that, and then it asks you about the deficiencies, and if you're okay with it, I guess you're supposed to sign. We've never seen this before, so
I was gonna
this
say,
is
it's
new to
not-
us.
We're not saying it's okay to, for
No.
this permit,
No,
because
because
they're the ones that are in
doing it,
control
yeah,
of it.
right. I guess this just gives AOT some insight into what we do and don't have.
Yeah, you ought to see what they're making to do. So freaking stupid.
Well,
So-
Dean's probably
I don't really need a motion for this, or...
the state
Yeah.
permits.
No, I
Yeah.
would say, when you think about all those people employed and then they
Alright,
cry that there's
now this one
a drain
here
on the
is this
budgets.
guy, right?
Right, so if you want them, they're gonna always still come to do this. Keep that in mind. But do you wanna pay money to have a broadcast?
No. So they'll come and do this every time, but
Regardless.
if we want it broadcast, we have to pay for it.
And if we don't pay for it,
They're
it
still
won't be
coming.
broadcast.
No, they're still coming.
So I don't understand.
I don't either.
Do you understand? No, you're like, I'm just here filming. Okay.
It says in the email that regardless of whether we pay or not, they can still come to tape.
So I don't understand.
Yeah, why would they waste the time coming to take?
So it's basically been longer than 6 months, isn't it? Been a year, feels like.
Yeah, it's been since,
Town meeting last year?
no, yeah.
Oh, God. It's been,
Yeah, it must have been a year.
I would say a year, yeah.
You'd like to continue having your
Yeah, because Larry
meetings
Fisk was,
online.
Oh, yeah.
Larry
July
Fisk was
1st, please
was
contact me. The annual cost is $960 and can be billed.
900.
There's no cost for recording the meetings, and that will continue with or without the online hosting service.
Oh, thank you.
960.
That's if you...
Right.
There is no cost for recording the meetings.
Okay.
But what's the cost to broadcast?
$960?
The annual cost is $960.
No,
No, thank you.
no, thanks. No.
That means I'd actually have to.
That's if you would like to continue having your meetings available online after July 1st.
Yeah, no.
Don't think it's necessary.
Neither. Now I can actually come in my jammies.
No, no,
No, they still got it.
because this.
Yeah, but they
But-
won't broadcast it.
But the thing is, though, is that it will be public record,
Yeah, no, exactly.
and
Fine.
so they could call
Sure.
and request
I don't
that
care.
on, May 7th. We'd like to see if Polly showed up in her bunny suit.
We don't have it in our budget. Okay.
Look at this. Can we start on this or?
Yeah, go ahead. Grab it.
Please note the upper house.
Oh God, I need to start bringing my glasses.
Raining out there again.
We need the water.
Yeah.
Bad.
It is dry.
Yeah.
It is.
We dumped.
It's all across the country,
we
too.
took down our pool, and it was
There's
almost.
a corn
we're
that they
given
heard
to
out there in the
our
Midwest,
kids don't
Larry.
use it, it's waste.
A friend of
So we
mine,
emptied-
well, they just got some
three-quarters
rain.
full. We emptied it onto
But-
our lawn.
He's
Is there
from
still
Missouri.
puddles?
No
He
puddles.
sent me a
We
picture
emptied it
last week. It was
5 o'clock Friday night, Saturday
Vehicle?
morning, it was.
the outside
dry.
temperature was 100
Oh.
degrees.
That's how
It's
it
Really?
has a
my
lot of-
grass
It was
is like
made.
wilting.
24 foot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of water that comes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think
Amazing how
I
quick
see
it
that. They're burning up in the Midwest.
So what we got
So
here?
that was,
They showed a
remember
long-range forecast.
This
last
is
year
it.
when they implemented that new.
Oh!
But did you read this? This seems like it should be illegal. I paid it on time, however, but it should be illegal. The state of Vermont should not be able to charge you $1,000 late fee if you don't pay it on time. $1,000, that shouldn't even be right.
No. For what?
You know the ambulance assessment that we
Yeah.
got started getting taxed on last year? So they sent the bill. And attached to the bill is this little yellow piece of paper, and it said if you receive it late after June 1st, they charge you $1,000 late fee.
Well, that way-
$1,000?
That
How much
way-
is the
That's
fee?
illegal. 96.
That way they know that you'll pay it on time.
I know, but
But
$1,000 late fee.
Like, get your attention.
Well, got mine. I should get it right.
Maybe we should bill them for the current use they never paid us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Charge it.
so this has gone out.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't want it to be late.
Yeah, okay.
$1,000.
Amcare really needs to update their system.
Yeah. I know Carolyn's been doing
Oh, yeah. That was awful.
Got the Berkshire.
Why did Amcare go?
that. No, I think that was the log.
Yeah, no,
One with
the
the log on
logs.
it.
You've
Yeah.
got his.
Yeah, they come right
Yeah.
up there. They come right to Berkshire.
Oh,
And,
Oh, why did Amcare? Because we didn't have a rig?
No, we had a
need
rig,
paramedic
but
for
you need
peeing.
Oh,
Paramedic.
paramedic.
I mean,
Oh,
he's under a
right.
pile of logs.
Yeah,
and
no,
so
exactly.
There was no hesitation, no waiting, which, that was a good call on that, you know,
Right.
I had no trouble with that.
Well, what happened with the possible renting that ambulance? So did it go or not go?
That what?
Renting
The
the.
little van
Oh,
Ambulance?
never went anywhere.
$17 traffic stops.
Let's see, there are some things that we have merged as a village, and that's one of them right there. Because they used to have their separate contract.
Mhm.
They were supposed to get their old finance director back.
Yeah, I heard that didn't happen.
She canceled on Friday because I guess she got double the offer.
Carolyn?
And she's going to Sonava's, I heard, instead of Hamilton now.
Yeah.
That one? Carolyn? Oh,
That's too bad.
that is too
Yeah,
bad.
that's too bad, cause she was.
She was
on
good.
there.
Now they're back at square one.
You're messing up my order.
No, where was the repair on the lights? From Kane.
I don't know, I don't
Fire station,
know what's about.
I had a bunch of them out up there.
Oh, the bills are looking different. From the solar?
No, that's what they look like.
Oh, they look different to me.
Maybe the other one's colored.
Took Mr. Kane a long time to get up there to fix them. It took, I think, 3 phone calls from me. Trouble is the door where we go into the side door, you know, if we get a fire call or something like that, and the light right there. But here you are, you got a bunch of keys, you know, in your pocket, and then here you are in total darkness, trying to find the right key to unlock that door so you can get in, you know.
I'm gonna look.
That
I'm
didn't
gonna
work-
look
didn't
at the
work very
dairy
well.
center when I drive by to make sure I'm not crazy. But I'm 99% sure.
Well, yeah, you
I mean, I
you need
used
to
it.
look. It's like, oh,
Wow.
somebody took it. Who would steal a porta potty?
Ooh, nobody would steal a porta potty.
Those things are so violent.
800, 900,
So I might say, when
almost 1,000.
Greg Stebbins and his daughter Emily got married, they brought in the kind that are like a work trailer, but they're
Yeah.
fancy on the inside, and they're
Oh.
like very frou-frou.
Yeah.
Those are nice porta potties. They look, I mean, it's like a real toilet in there.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I went to this party once. They had an outhouse that was nicer than my bathroom. It was so pretty.
Now, if you would've gone into one over here yesterday afternoon here, you wouldn't have thought it was
No,
very pretty.
I stayed clear of
It
that
was
one.
lacking a clean job, big
Oh.
time.
No. $900 again. Isn't that the same thing?
No,
2 different times.
2 different 900s. I don't think they're the same thing.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Return to service. What was the date? Like the same day?
10 days difference. Description of 18.
Oh, alright.
Sorry. I know.
Okay.
So Joey must have done that this nick of time here.
Alright.
I work for the Opera House.
Yes, we made sure it got done before the pageant.
Chris, them clown was going to his daughters in there and stuff. When he come out, I said, "This is the septic system." Must be somebody worked on it. I said.
But
Oh, this is what I'm thinking.
Oh,
Or these,
okay.
yeah.
right, yeah.
Right.
But truth be told, I mean, the pageant has a lot of people, a lot of viewers that might be not a bad idea to have it held at the high school, and not everything at the Opera House. Just seating wise and everything, it's a much easier, kinder view to everybody. And there's more space. They could sell more tickets.
There is more seating at the auditorium than at.
Oh yes, by probably by 150.
Yeah, oh really?
Yeah.
Now, did Joey say what he found when they were
I'm
working
not
over
sure if
there?
it was Joey. I know Gary went down. I'm not sure if they
Gary,
both stayed down there. Kenny and
There was Kenny and Joey.
Gary.
Oh, Kenny was there.
Yeah,
The
he
plant?
ran,
Yeah,
he
he
ran the
did.
backhoe.
Oh,
And Dwight. Kenny, Gary, Joey, Dwight.
Yeah, there was 4 or 5
There was
around there.
enough of them.
I think I see, I begin to think it's the state of Vermont. I see, Lucas was there too, and, I don't know.
Well, they removed a tree up to the fire station that was dead, right?
Yeah.
That same day. So maybe the whole crew was down there.
Did they say what it was? No.
I didn't ask.
For which one?
No.
For
Septic.
the Opera House to see what they saw once they got it all opened up.
it's been like a crushed line or something.
Well, it was, I think there was a pipe pulled apart, and
It
there
was
was like
pulled apart.
sand,
Heaved
there was
up.
sand going down in there and gravel and stuff like
That's what it
that.
was.
Just about like what was happening up to our drain, up to the fire station there.
Yeah.
You know, and Kenny went up there and he dug that up himself up there and dug down there, cause this pipe, what it was there was a T and there was a clean out that went up like this. And that clean out, it tore apart, you know, and there was like sand going into
No?
the drain.
Well, they are all the same.
You had some different the one
But,
before.
but they
They weren't all
definitely
chocolate
there.
chip?
Once
Because
they
now they were.
Yeah,
Oh.
we're-
once they cleaned it
They're
all up and
pecan
everything like that.
chocolate.
Definitely.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's-
Even
The,
with
the
styrofoam in
pecans
it.
are
Yeah.
maple
Stop the frost
planted,
even,
so you have to
and
like
that's why you- that's what you figured
caramelize
out,
the
yeah.
maple
At
first,
least
put
that
the
side,
pecans
on
in
the
so
west
they're
side. It's
nummy,
all
and then you
good
add
drain.
them.
They need to
So
find
your
the
dad
end of that-
retired.
End of that drain and tie into that.
So who
Yeah.
do I
It's
call when my
coming out
hot
of the
water
field
heater
up
goes
there
to
or something.
south?
They went,
Oh,
he
your
went,
brother still
took a look
has
at
an
that
extra
too,
plumber.
because the woman had called him up or something, and
I'd rather sell them have to call
we'll
out
ask him the next time you
Hey.
see her.
some people.
Hey.
I got some cookies for you. What's wrong?
Solve that problem,
Exactly.
so you don't keep having water issues
Remind
in the
me.
spring.
Oh, about the.
Well, I don't think it's that part of it.
Probably
but-
while there's a time in my backyard.
I think we're done. Are we done?
And I'm just waiting for this. Like, we gotta sign.
So that's
The
it?
warrants.
Can we adjourn?
Yeah, I have
Other than
nothing
just
else to do.
signing? I motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. Any more discussion? If having none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. You're done. 8:40, 8:20.